Okay, let's talk about hydraulic manifolds. This is the area where we have the manifold data sheets right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different sizes, each one either in aluminum or ductile iron. The aluminum one is 3000 psi and the iron is 5000 psi rating. When you click in this section over here, download PDF, it'll give you the PDF of the different sizes, DO3, 5, DO7, and 8. So you click on it and you open one of the data sheets. Here we have some of them open. We'll go back to the top and you have DO8, you have dimensions of the DO8, then 7, 5, and 3. They're pretty much all the same type of style data sheet. The difference is going to be on the overall dimensions of the manifolds. The DO8s are a little bit bigger and the DO3 are smaller, therefore smaller valves. Now when you go to the catalog, it's pretty much it's the same setting over here. You either have A or D for aluminum or ductile iron, depending on the pressure rating, 3000 or 5000 psi. Then you put on the DO3. In this one it's a DO3, so it's a standard DO3. If it's the DO8, then it'll be a DO8 on the data sheet. So P is for parallel. All of them are parallel circuit. Then you have different options over here, and each one of the manifold changes. I'm switching to the 8 because it's the biggest one that we have. If you see, for example, over here we have two options. A spacing of 5 inches and a spacing of 7 inches in between valves for the DO8 manifold, and we go all the way down to this to the DO3, and we have a spacing of 2 and 4 inches. And within that spacing and the black of the manifold, you can fit, if it's a spacing of 2, you can fit up to 16 valves, or you can fit up to 8 valves on the spacing of 4 for the DO3 manifold. And it changes, that option changes when it goes to the bigger manifolds. The DO8, the most that you can fit are 7 valves on the spacing of 5, or 5 valve on the spacing of 7. And it's the same thing for iron or aluminum. So that's one of the difference between the different sizes of manifolds. Then we have the option of the porting, SAE, BSPP, NPTF, very standard porting. And then we go to the option. On the options section, pretty much what it gives you is going to be a cavity for 1 or 2 relief valve. These are standard cavity relief valves, and this S over here is for the Sun standard hydraulic valve. It's a different connection, different thread, so it's just a different valve, but most of the standard valves, it'll be 1 or 2 for the standard valves. And then we go to the section of isolation, where you can isolate a pressure line or a tank line or both of them. And then it gives you an option of combination between the isolation of the tank and pressure, and adding the relief valves as well. So we're gonna see it as an example over here on a drawing. I'm gonna get a close-up over here. And here's the installation of 1 or 2 valves for the relief. Then we're gonna get to the part of the isolation. If you're gonna isolate a pressure line, this is an example of when you're isolating one valve, where this pressure line only fits this valve. It only fits this one. So if you want pressure line for this other line, it has to come from the other port. So the other pressure line, if it's this valve and if it's this valve. So you're isolating one valve over here on the pressure. Then we're gonna see the example of the tank, of the reservoir. You are isolating one valve on the other side over here. This valve requires its own tank line, while this one over here is shared between this valve and this valve. So you need one pressure for this valve and the tank is shared over here, and you need one tank for this valve and the pressure is shared over here. And over here you have a combination of splitting the pressure, splitting the tank, and having the combination of one or two valves. Actually, you're only splitting the pressure over here. The tank line has the same line. So that's the how you split pressure line and tank line. Now, if you want to put that in a code, if you see that over here, you have PA to PJ and PA through PG, and the same thing over here. Now, what these numbers, what these codes make a reference of, are these letters over here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's go to this section. And you see this over here. A through J and A through G. The A through J is for the valve blocks that you would have with a spacing of 2 inches between valves. And the A through G is going to be between the spacing of 4 inches between valves. So when you go and put those codes on the bottom, and you see that here, you have a spacing of 2 and a spacing of 4. And you can put either one over here, P through J or P through G. Now, if you don't need any isolation, you just leave it blank. And the same thing with this one over here. And this one is just to give you the combination of the isolation with the relief valves. So that's pretty much the data sheet between these manifolds. If you guys have any questions, you can always visit websites, send an email. I hope this video did have any help on getting the proper codes for the manifolds. We have them. These ones are usually in inventory. They're pretty. If they're not in inventory, it's only a few days to get it out. But we do have a pretty good inventory anyway. Any questions? Just send me an email. Thank you much for your attention, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.